and I am down here today because an individual had his information shared with the media and disseminated via social media, indicating or implicating in some way that he was wanted in conjunction with rioting or arson or some type of illegal activity. That individual is a law-abiding citizen. He was terrified. He travels, around. He's a photographer, so he wanted to take care of the situation. And his first initial reaction was to just come to the police station. And someone said, "Wait a minute," reached out to me, and I said, "No, don't just go to the police station. Let's, go with an attorney just in case." We went to the police station today, and they indicated that he doesn't have an arrest package. They're not arresting him. He's not wanted for anything. While we were there, some of the community members specifically said, "Well, since he's not wanted for anything, can you please take down his photograph?" Obviously, it's inflammatory. It is incendiary, right? Right now, this is not the time. People's emotions are incredibly high, and you're linking, this individual to someone or to something that has very, very negative connotations to a lot of people. And they kind of didn't answer. So they just saw you guys and basically said the same thing. And it was really nice because one of you said, "Yeah, tell us what picture it is so we can take it down." Governor Cuomo actually has recently tried to submit legislation to make it illegal to publish mugshots. So we know that there is a very, very big negative connotation associated when you are arrested for something and people get to see that. Irrespective of whether or not you're ever convicted, it doesn't go away, right? The court of public opinion is serious in Rochester. And once people hear that you're accused of something, it doesn't matter what the ultimate outcome is. You're convicted of it in their minds. So I just wanted to say that I sincerely appreciate, I constantly talk about, and I was just complaining to you about media and the skewed narrative, and specifically the incident on Marshall Street and how they didn't report that the woman was using racial slurs at an incredibly heightened time. They just reported the actions. Well, if you're going to do that, when you're going to do the right thing, it's only right that I commend you for that too. So I just want to put out that the photos that are being circulated do not necessarily mean that there are arrest packages for those individuals. These are for the purposes of investigation. And people should keep that in mind when they see those photographs and they think, "Oh, this person is an arsonist." They're being accused of some very serious things. And they're not even being accused, guys. Let's be clear. They're just investigating. So there's the impression, even I just said, they're being accused. My client just came down here. If he was being accused, there would have been an arrest packet. He's not being accused of anything, yet his image is being circulated. You might want to think about that when you're sharing these photos and when you're, participating in the conversation that you're having, because there's a bit of a false impression, I think. And so I commend you guys for that. Please, I will provide you with the information so that his photograph can be taken down. And if you see any other photos that say, "We're looking for information," or "We're interested in speaking with this person," if it doesn't say there's an arrest packet, that means it's an investigation. That means we're circulating photos of people that are presumed innocent of everything, not even enough to charge them.
How damaging is that to the individual who may possibly be innocent?
I can tell you that I've been charged with a whole lot of things I haven't been convicted of, and the follow-up story is never as big as the first story. And I talk to people all the time who say, "You've been convicted of 50 DWIs. I've been convicted of one misdemeanor in my entire life. That's the only thing I've ever been charged with. It's the only crime I've ever been charged with." 99% of Rochester doesn't know that. Even people who follow me, who love me, who watch my story think that I have multiple convictions. People talk, you guys literally published that I was on parole or that I went to prison. It is an unclassified misdemeanor. People believe you. They will believe you forever. You forever tarnish my reputation. It will never be what it was. I just have to do work to repair it. But those things that have been reported that were inaccurate follow me for the rest of my life. And they don't just follow me in Rochester. My story is an international story. It is incredibly damaging. This is why people say we need to control the narrative, because we know that Black and brown people are presented in the media very differently. And when we have a hand in that presentation, it changes things.
What's your hope moving forward? We're hearing about more rallies planned for coming up this weekend. And what's your hope for how that will all unravel and happen?
My genuine hope is that we're able to protest peacefully and to assemble. I've been very clear that I don't judge anyone for the fact that America is at a boiling pitch and it's boiling over. I don't think that that's anyone's fault that's protesting or rioting. I think that's a top-down issue and we're blaming the wrong people. My hope is that things will be nonviolent, but I think that we have to be really honest about the fact that that starts with the police. I hope that they'll stop shooting us. I hope that they'll stop tear gassing us. I hope that we remember that in this country we have a First Amendment right and we're supposed to engage in civil disobedience. That's what we're supposed to do when the government is not reflecting our wants. And since it's happening all over the country and all over the world, we know that the government is not reflective of what the people want. We're outraged. We're tired. We are tired, but we are not defeated. There's a song by Janae Aiko. She says, "I'm tired, but I'm fired up." I think that explains how Black America feels right now. We're tired, but we're fired up, and you're not going to keep ignoring us. I bet that's what you're not going to do. So if you don't like a peaceful protest, I suggest you figure out what you do like, because we're coming from every lane and every angle, and we're not going to be ignored. This is not a Rochester thing. This is overdue. This is not the first Black man that couldn't breathe. And unfortunately, we know this probably won't be the last one. And if you think that we're not going to kneel and we're not going to stand and we're not going to walk and we're not going to march and we're just going to lie down and get killed, if you're going to kill us anyway, you might as well kill us while we're doing what we can to fight for our freedom.
So what can protesters do if they wanted to go protest but not fall into the situation that you faced this morning?
To be honest with you, nothing. Because there was absolutely nothing this young boy could have done. He went to a peaceful protest and he ended up getting arrested. I went to several peaceful protests and ended up getting shot at. The narrative that is being framed here is not realistic of what it is. It is dangerous for people to protest. And it shouldn't be. That is not the country we live in. It is dangerous for people to protest. There's nothing he could have done, because if he's what people are doing right now, and it's ridiculous because they're getting such backlash, is they're trying to figure out how they can have people inside of a protest to fight with rioters. That is not our job. That is not remotely, if there are people who are agitators at a peaceful protest, those people should be dealt with. Everyone shouldn't be shot. Everyone shouldn't be gassed. We have a right to peacefully protest. And if we don't have that, then what are you saying? You're saying that this is a country now where we have to just sit down and be murdered silently. That is not what America is. I'm disgusted by some of the things that I've seen. And that's why I'm out here again. That's why I'm down here today. I'm disgusted by some of the things I've seen. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in this country, and this country is not functioning the way it's supposed to.
I'm sure you're discussing with some of the things you've heard as well. We saw Kimberly and Beck a few days ago. I want to ask you, you say responsibility for the media. They're part of the media. They may not be journalists. They're part of the media. What are your thoughts on that?
That's long overdue. Kimberly and Beck have disrespected so many legacies. I remember when my cousin was murdered at the University of Rochester, and the horrible things that they said about him, how they encouraged people not to come to his run, how they called him a thug. My cousin was a remarkable man. And they did so much to damage his legacy. They did so much. I didn't really hear any of it because I don't listen to them, but when I had my own situation, I just constantly heard that they were talking about me. I think they're deplorable human beings, and I think that they are a signal of a larger problem. Because people like that can exist and have an audience in Rochester, then we know that we cannot pretend that racism isn't alive and well here. It is flourishing. It is thriving. Because people like that should have never had a market with which to exist. Like, it's ridiculous. And they've been fired before. So I'm only so excited about the firing this time, right? Because they tend to pop up again like bad cops. They get fired, and then next thing you know, they're in a different town killing someone else. I'm impressed, and I always try to acknowledge progress where it's made. I think that was absolutely the right thing to do. I actually said it would be hilarious if iHeartRadio wanted me to come on board. I know I can keep an audience, and I would love to take their job. It would just be the best ironic situation in the world. I'm also looking into buying DeJune's. It's been a karmic little nice time lately here in Rochester. I've enjoyed it myself. I can't lie to you.
So what do we have to do? Not just the black community, the white community. What do we have to do so people don't talk like this? I mean, you're talking about...
Guys, silence is violence. Silence is violence. White America thinks that they can be quiet because this doesn't matter to them, and you're right. It sucks. It's so nice that you guys can stand to be silent on issues because you're not getting choked out and killed in the middle of the street, but we need your help. And if you sit back and say, oh, I need another video, or I don't know, I need additional evidence, but when you see the situation on Marshall Street, you're ready to jump to a conclusion, you know everything, and when you get additional evidence, that evidence doesn't matter, you're the problem. We don't need excuses right now. We just need action. And it is incredibly important that we have white allies. We've always relied on white allies. They're helpful to us. We need everybody that we can get. And injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And your silence makes you complicit. You want to go to my page. It's Leticia Astacio. I'm trying to post every resource I get about any type of demonstrations. I know there's one Friday. I know there's one Saturday. If you want information, you can go find it there. I'm trying to keep everyone updated with this information because I don't see it on the mainstream media. But there are protests to get involved in. There are community givebacks. There are lots of things. There's no reason for you not to be doing something. If right now this is going on and you're sitting at home and you're shaking your head and you're saying, this is so sad, you're the problem. And if you don't see a problem, if you're more concerned about buildings and property than you are about the loss of human lives, you're the problem. I'm sorry, do I want the city to burn? No, I love this city. But I'm not willing to keep watching black men die. I have a 15-year-old who literally just told me he's afraid he doesn't get to grow up. My child is afraid. And it's not because he's bad. It's not because he does anything. It's because he's brown, and I can't change that. And you know what my response was? We can move to Nairobi. We don't have to be here, but I don't want to leave all of the people that can't move to Nairobi. This is not okay. This is not okay. We don't have to flee a country that we built. You guys are tripping. I'm sorry, I'm a little upset about this whole thing.
I talked to Chief Singletary yesterday, and he said he really wants people to be able, he's feeling it. You know, he feels he's on both sides.
Then why are they
a little
shooting
bit.
us? Why are they shooting us at peaceful protests? That doesn't fix a community problem. Why are you arresting us for peacefully protesting? Why aren't you out here kneeling with us like the rest of these police officers? When we say that your community is telling you the police are not treating us properly, the police are harassing and antagonizing us, why aren't you listening to us? Why doesn't anyone believe us?
Why
aren't they addressing the situation with my daughter, Naila, who was arrested?
Preach.
and
10-year-olds.
and put in handcuffs, and their mother came to the scene to get her, and they claimed that they followed all the policies and procedures. That was inhumane. That was human trafficking, because they didn't have to leave the scene with my child and take her to a precinct to scare her and to antagonize her, make her think that she was going to be taken away from her mother and father and her siblings and put into a foster care. Why aren't they addressing that? Why aren't they addressing the meeting that we asked for, or a Zoom meeting, all because they didn't want to deal with any recordings? Everything is public record. This needs to be on the public. Y'all did it in the public. It needs to stay on the public.
People just want to be heard. And you can tell that our community is not being heard. Martin Luther King said that riot is the language of the unheard. Our community is not being heard. If the police actually want to change that, they have to listen to us. It has to be a conversation. It cannot be a directive. This cannot be a one-way conversation, because they're coming into our communities and they're hurting our people. So it needs to be a two-way conversation. And I would love to help facilitate that in any way I can. I think it's incredibly important that we be able to repair the relationship with the police, but I think that starts with the police, not the people.
So are you saying that it should all be peaceful, or are you saying whatever needs to be done?
Oh, I'm a by any means necessary type of gal. I personally believe in peaceful protest, but I don't believe in stopping anyone from fighting for their rights. I believe that our Declaration of Independence says that when the government does not reflect the wants of the people have a right to arm themselves and to overthrow the government. So what you call a riot, I might call a revolution.
All right.
Do you support the folks that the mayor was calling the outsiders, the ones that were flipping the cars and doing the looting?
I don't know what support means. You know, does that mean I'm going to go loot? No. Do I condemn anyone for taking an active part in a movement? No, I don't. This movement's overdue. If you don't want things burned in the street, then maybe you should listen to people when they use their words. Mm-hmm. You are talking to people that have been at a fever pitch for a really long time and have been taken advantage of for a really long time, and I'm sorry if they don't have the skills to communicate with you in the way you like to be communicated with. When they try to speak to you, you dismiss them. And so what happens, have you ever seen a child who doesn't have the language necessary to have a conversation with you? They get frustrated. They get mad. They start breaking stuff. They mean you're going to understand what they're saying. They're going to be heard. People want to be heard. So do I feel sorry for you that you can't hear people? Yes, I feel sorry for you. Do I feel sorry for them that they can't communicate in a better way? Yes, I feel sorry for them. Do I judge and condemn them? No. It's our fault they don't know how to talk. It's our fault that we have poverty the way that we do. It's our fault that our educational system has failed them. It's our fault. And we can blame them all we want, but we need to take some personal accountability if you want things to actually change.
As counsel, is it okay if you say like your former client's name, or?
No, I won't say his name actually,
Okay.
because I don't want to assist in spreading that false information.
Okay.
He was never a client of mine because he was never charged with anything. He is just a poor individual who had the misfortune of having his information circulated for going to a peaceful protest.
Were you coming?
now?
No, he's not charged with anything. Our representation is ended. If he's going to be charged, then he'll be my client at that point, but he has no charges pending.
At the beginning of this conversation, you said lawyer activist. Pro bono?
In many cases, yeah. I mean, that's part of being an attorney, right? Part of it is that you do pro bono work. So I definitely take cases for free. I also take assigned counsel cases, which is a reduced rate. I believe in giving back to the community. I offer payment plans. I intentionally want to service a portion of the community that can't necessarily afford me. So I price myself in a way, or I offer payment plans in a way that those people get representation too. We have a phenomenal public defender's office here. I don't mean to take anything away from them, but typically only one person gets represented by the PD and the others are on their own. They get to go to the conflict defender. Sometimes they're not happy with the representation. So I think it's important that people have a choice in their legal representation. They're supposed to, and I try to make sure that I'm a choice that's available to them.
And you said you're organizing. Explain what you're